Well, good evening and welcome to the first edition of the Island Stats Cricket Show. I'm your host, Earl Baisden, and joining me is co-host Andre Doc Manders. It's the first edition in 2022, Doc. We look as if we've got a season started. The 50 overs is underway. Um, looking at the movement around teams and so forth, and just how things have been materializing over the last few weeks with cricket. What are your thoughts on this particular season, especially in the 50 overs?
Um, well, being that they're starting 50 overs early, it's going to be a little different this season. Last season, because of the COVID, they played 20 T20. I think this year they're starting off 50 overs. So basically, a lot of the teams now is going to have to adapt, being that, 50 overs is a longer version of the game. So I hope, hopefully, this is first game of the season the first games of this weekend. I saw somebody scores, but so hopefully, they got to remember now that 2020 it's a different game from 50 overs. So I've been seeing some of the scores. There's been some big scores, so it'd be interesting to see how the wickets are playing too.
Mm-hmm. Well, being that you said that this is the first weekend, let's just run down what actually has taken place thus far. The season opened yesterday up at White Hill Field, where the Bermuda Under-19 team took on Somerset Bridge. Bermuda Under-19s were built off for 130, and Somerset Bridge scored 131 for 7. That was in First Division. And then today in Premier Division, down at Seabreeze Oval, Bailey's Bay defeated Southampton Rangers by 129 runs. Bailey's Bay scored 245 for 5 in their 50 overs and bowled Southampton Rangers out for 116. Up at the Somerset Cricket Club, St. David's Cricket Club defeated Willowcut by 103 runs. St. David's Cricket Club scored 311 for 7. Willowcut scored 208 all out. Doc, 519 runs scored on the Somerset Cricket Club wicket. We'll get back to that soon. In First Division today, it was Cleveland County winning by 40 runs over Warwick Workmen's. Cleveland County were bowled out for 131 and then bowled Warwick Workmen's Club out for 91. And currently, Flats are defending 279 for 9 with Western Stars. This is at Lords and St. David's, 212 for 8 with 6 overs to go. They need 68 runs off of 36 balls with 2 wickets remaining down at Lords, and we'll keep an update on that. I know you'll be interested in that score, but I wanna go right to that match up at Somerset. When you talk about 519 runs scored, that's a lot of runs for the first weekend. And we all know that Somerset will host Cup match. Not sure if that was the wicket they would use or whatever, but you had a century from Ajon Layham. You had 250s, one from what's his name? Oh, Justin Pitcher scored 53 not out. Derek Bemans added 56. So that's 200 odd runs right there, 230 odd runs right there between 3 players. So St. David's off to a good start.
Oh yes, indeed, 311. It's a good total in 50 overs. Even though Somerset, I won't say it's a small ground, but it's a ground where if you get on top of the building, the runs could be scored. That was interesting too, because first game of the season, I thought the wickets would be, the bunts would be a little indifferent, low and high, but that's obviously somebody's batted through the innings, and when you got a big total like that, is always somebody has to make a century, to get a big total. And that's over 500 something runs scored first game of the season. So that's probably good for cricket. Well, I didn't see the bowling, and it'd be interesting to see how many wides and extras both teams gave up, because normally in 50 over cricket or 2020, it's always the extras that hurt teams. So that'll be interesting. But I can see the first century scored already. I think it was a century scored in the flats game too.
Yeah, Century
Um,
scored in flats, Century scored in
um,
day. Yeah,
and Bayless Bay too. So that's
yeah,
so some of these teams probably be in the net um, early than others, and that's good for the season. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the game. That's an interesting result if they beaten Sampton Rangers. Um,
right,
you know, and of course, if Flats beat Stars, that's another interesting result too. So 270 is a lot of runs too, if you think about it, Don St. David.
right.
So um, like I said, one of the players scored 100 too. But like I
Mhm.
said, right now, I'm just glad that the records have been burned. So we can't start because we were supposed to start last week, and
Right.
I thought that the extra week gave the records more time for
Mhm.
for the grounds to get ready. That extra week probably helped up a lot.
Right. Being that you said about the wides and so forth, in St. David's inning in their 311, there were 29 extras. It was 22 wides, 4 no balls, 1 bye, and 2 leg byes. And then in the Willow Cuts inning, there were 34 extras, 23 wides, one bye, 9 leg byes, and 1 no ball. So 22 and 23 wides given up on the day, and then whatever runs were added after those wides were given. That's something that has to be cleaned up by both teams.
Yeah, like I said, the extras in 50 overs, count. If you think
Yeah.
of the actual runs that are scored off the wide balls, sometimes you're building, instead of building 6 overs, you're building 8 to 10 overs because of the
Mhm.
wides. And then you
Yeah.
think of the runs that scored over it. So if you're playing a 50 over game, sometimes your team might be building 55 overs because of all the
Right.
extras that's been given up.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but it is early in the season, so you expect that. And I think most teams now will probably have to work on wides, no balls, and extras.
Well,
Because
I know, I know. Let's digress a little bit because at any beginning of the season, the batsmen, the guys that any team to bat, and the guys that any team to bowl, always want the ball first. The batsmen always want to bat first, and the bowlers always want to bowl first because they feel that's the best time, they're in the best shape, and so forth. Would that be a concern now because of I would say the lack of attention by some players put into training. Some players don't put the effort in, and they struggle after 3 and 4 overs and got to be taken off the ball, even if they're on top of the batsman or on top of the bowler.
yeah, like I said, it's still preseason, so it could be the fitness, could be other things that's going on. A lot of players, the commitment with training, sometimes they can make training for various reasons. But that could be one thing. But in 2020, they was getting you probably could get away with it because remember you're in the building 4 hours
Right,
per burler, and then now you're playing 50, whereas you're gonna have to probably build in spurts 5 hours, maybe then come back in the middle, build another 2 or 3, depending on how the game goes. Some builders, some captains, if they're on top of the team, want to build, give the opening builders more hours.
hmm
So it's interesting to see. I think right now most of the I would say builders would probably try to work on their fitness early in the season,
hmm
and I think and batsmen will probably try to early in the season try to play the ball much straighter early in the innings, being that it's 50 overs, not and try to build the innings. And I'm seeing
right,
that already after the first couple of games with Century Sport. Normally in the first preseason, you don't get centuries to these maybe the second and third games, but they
right,
got
right.
they got 2 centuries that were scored already, 3.
Three
Uh,
centuries.
so that's like I said, I didn't see the games, but looking at that, you don't know how many times players have got dropped, how many chances they gave.
Right.
But
Yes.
it
Yes.
does, if you think about it, it doesn't matter. If they did get dropped, they took the chances. So,
Right.
kudos to them. Like I said, it's too early in the season. I wouldn't put that Gabe Berlin and the Whites right now down to anything. You expect that, but I
Right.
think
Right.
after the first, now maybe going on second and third games, I think those
Mm-hmm.
builders will try to work on that line and length.
Right.
And like I said, most batsmen when they get in, they'll try to bet through the innings. Or the early order batsmen try to bet
Mm-hmm.
through the innings and make a big total.
Right. Right. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for your Western Stars, but they were blown out for 222 with Flats winning by 57 runs.
Mhm.
We'll get to that in the first division, but yeah, Flats are off to a good start, and it looks like they've got some players from overseas in their team that kind of have helped them lead the way. So
Yes, I heard one of they had Flats in trouble. I think Stars at one time.
yeah,
I was following them along, and I think Flats was like 30 or what, maybe 40 or what for 3 or 4, or 50 or for 4, something like that.
for
And
62 for 4 when they
right,
62 for 4
and then that South African guy joined. I think it's somebody now.
now. Join
Uh,
now, yeah,
yeah, he made 100, and
yeah.
then
Kyle Frank was
Franks.
batting with him. They had a 161 run partnership.
Partnership, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's our partnership in the game, and they took him right out of trouble.
Yeah,
And I didn't know if he got dropped or anything, but if it's the Betson, I'm seeing him play. I'm seeing one of these. I think he played a little bit of commercial league cricket early
right.
season or last season. And if it's the player that I'm thinking about, he's a really good batsman.
Right.
Obviously he's played high grade cricket. He's played in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And Franks is always a batsman.
Yeah.
The players for Flats, he always comes on and makes runs as I would say a most experienced batsman, for Flats. In Connie and I say Connie and league games, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, and I think he got 60 or he probably just
75.
stayed there with him.
75.
Yeah, so
Yeah. And he
so
was
that
not out. He batted the inning out. Yeah.
So and that was good too, and I think chasing 270, I think Stars probably gave a lot of extras too, from what I heard. And like I said, it's early in the season for them too, and that was something early. I was training with them just this week, and
Right.
I was making sure the guys, I was trying to tell them, look, first game of the season, you want line and length. You know what I mean? If you can't get the guy out, contain him. That's the key, and you can't drop catches.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with good batsmen.
Right.
So, I guess I think they was missing a few players too. I think a few teams is missing a few some players this
They gave up
weekend.
18 wides in their inning.
But you think of that, 18 wides is a lot.
Yes.
50 over cricket.
Yes.
Then you think of the runs that
No
scored.
balls, so,
Yeah, and what?
all Burlers errors there. And if you look at it, I mean, the Burler Bills, the wides, the Burler Bills, no balls. So 21 extras, all
Yeah, but and sometimes,
yeah.
and so, like I said, sometimes it's not only the wides or the low balls. Like I said, it's the runs that's been scored off it. And then again, if you think about it being hot, that bowler not being fit, it's got a bowl and all the extra 2 balls.
Right.
And you got to, like, I looked at the stats. It looked like it was only one bowler that bowled 10 overs in Stars lineup.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's-
2.
that-
Start 2.
2. I'm sorry,
Brian
Brian Hall and
Hall
somebody
and
else.
Rohan. Brian
And
bowled
broke-
10 overs, 4 maidens, none for 15.
15. I saw that.
Yeah.
So that was containment.
Right.
But then if you look at some of the yellow bowlers, like I said, it's
Stephen
probably
Darrell 1 over, gave up 18.
And I
McLashing.
guarantee, and there was probably a lot of actors in there too. So that it's not only stars. I think a lot of the teams gonna have to work on
Right.
building now. Um, like I said, anything I can't think is early in the season. Guys, I ain't picked up. Ain't built for a little while. And they probably need to work on building in the nets. Setting up like cones and just building on top of all stump.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think.
Mhm.
And variations,
Right.
Yorkers, slow balls. That's one thing I haven't seen, and I tell guys that when you watch the 2020, when bowlers start to get hit, it's always something they go for a Yorker, they go for a buncer,
Yes.
and then they see slow ball. So you got to use your variations. You just can't keep building the same ball all the time. The batsmen right now, they have too many shots that they could play now, and so you got to use some variations.
Sure.
And that's something that a lot of the teams are going to have to use this year in the 50 overs and 2020.
Sure.
If not, you're going to be seeing a lot of other big turtles
Yeah.
being scored. If it's early in the season, they're scoring these runs now.
Right.
What doesn't happen in the midway through the season? The
Sure.
wickets are coming a little bit harder, and the ball gets more bunts. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the score is going to be.
Sure. Well, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more. We'll talk about the Bears Bay Southampton Rangers match. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
We're featuring a range of remarkably effective household cleaning solutions made with ecologically sound ingredients and pleasing fragrances from Ecos, a company with over 50 years' experience producing plant-powered cleaning products. The founder was a veteran chemist in the cleaning products industry and started up Ecos as a response to the harsh chemicals he had routinely encountered. Try Ecos non-abrasive cream cleanser, vinegar window cleaner, and in spray bottles, Orange Plus and Parsley Plus cleaners, shower and floor cleaners, furniture polish, and stain and odor remover. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Doc, we know that there was quite a few of senior players who departed Bailey's Bay in the summer, in the off season. And I know the people at Bailey's Bay are proud people, and they would have wanted to make a statement, especially against Southampton Rangers, and they did just that today. When you look at the fact that they're scoring 245 for 5, they had a 147-run third wicket partnership between Brendan Trott and Terence Frey. Terence scored 101. Brendan scored 61. They kind of pulled them out of trouble and steadied that ship, and went on to make 245, and then turned around and build Bailey's Bay out for 116.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like I said, you need partnerships, and I'm sure me and Gus Lucas, the coach down in Bay, I'm sure he's talked about that. You know, the guys in, they need to stay in bet, especially in 50 overs. You got a lot of overs to bet. So once you're in, you need to stay in, and you know, to make it easy for the batsman coming behind. You decide to bet, that's your job. You know, you got to take full advantage. So 245 runs. I think the game was down. What's the game down Bayless Bay?
Yes, it was that big.
So you know, that's a good score down at Bay too. Then with Rangers, with the I guess that missing Malachi Jones, I think that's a big miss under the team building wise.
Right.
But it still got Gennaro, Dion. I don't know who all the players they got, but
Yeah.
that was interesting score to tell you the truth. But I think Bayless Bay is not going to be no pushovers this year, even though they lost 3 of their players.
Right.
They have a good young team down there too. And like I said, and they got some of the best coaches down there. Gus Lucas, you got Irwin McMahon down there helping. I guess Neil's probably the manager. They got people down there to help those youngsters out.
I think that's the key. If you're organized, and I think that's what Gus brings, that professional organization skill.
Yeah.
That if the players follow that, I mean, it's early to say that they'll be title contenders, but if they buy into the system and do everything, show up for training, do these small things correct, I think they will surprise themselves even more than what they think they can actually do.
That's true, Earl, because there's small things that help teams out. When I say small things, it's like you're fielding, taking the catches, run outs, backing up. Small things like that may say, oh, well, it doesn't help, but in the end, they help. And then when you're batting, you're taking these singles, you're putting the bay up ball, so hey, running between the wickets. Like I said, building partnerships, knowing your role in the team. Terrence, a person, he probably just working the role to ball around. Brendan was probably the one that was, taking the bowlers on. But that if you think about it, that partnership right there probably took Rangers right out of the game. They scored 245, and then if I tell you one thing, I'm not too sure about Bay's Burden lineup because losing Rodney Trott and Kyle Hudson, that's two good bowlers.
Kyle stayed with Zico that left.
So Kyle stayed. So it was just Zico and
Sinclair Smith.
And Sinclair Smith a big keep. So that's gonna be interesting. And being Terrence got all the experience. He's been captain. He's been around cricket a long time. He's got all the experience. So you might be seeing him making a lot of runs this season too. Then they got Gus down there to, like I said, to give him all the batting he needs. So it's going to be. I think Bayless Bay, like you said, it's going to be a team to reckon with this year too. By that result,
they had Jordan Burgess take 4 wickets for 24 runs off of 7 overs with a maiden. Kyle Bill 8 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 29. They had Rangers in trouble right from the start. So we gotta kind of respect the bowlers, even if you think they're no names. I mean, the wickets were falling fast. 1 for 13, 2 for 18, 3 for 24, 4 for 32, 5 for 49. So 86. Rangers were constantly falling and could never get themselves out of trouble.
And no partnerships between their.
The biggest partnership would have been the 7th wicket partnership.
right. But see, and once you get wickets at that rate, and there's no partnership, it gives the builders all the momentum. The
Yes.
fielders, you know, that's why I say partnership is important because it breaks the morale in the field in the team, the builders. Then the
Yes.
captain's got to start thinking who to build, who not, who to bring on at the time. And I think with Terrence's experience, and I guess with Coach Lucky down there, at the realm and telling them, who to build, who not to build, they're better for game plan, and they probably stuck to their game plan,
Mhm.
and they're successful
Yeah.
in that. So maybe it was the game plan was to bat first. They know how the
Right.
wicket was playing. They trained under. I've been training under all this time for the last week or couple of weeks, so they probably knew what the wicket was going to do. So they batted first, and it worked in their favor.
Sure.
Same thing with St. Davis too. I don't know
Yeah.
who won the tosses there, but they scored 311.
Yeah.
That's a big total too. So, that all worked in their favor. Once you get a total like that, there you could work out plans who to build, and not to build. They could know how the wickets playing.
Right.
Bring spinners on early, or build a medium pace or paces. So.
Yeah. Now, St. Davis won the toss and decided to bat. Yeah.
See. That's probably interesting. It's and they got to remember it's getting hot now. Sometimes,
Yeah.
if the players are not, like I said, if they
Not
ain't
fit.
fully fit,
That means sun them.
exactly.
Sun
By the time
them.
they go into bed,
What they want to do is good.
I look at it's interesting because I'm looking at a lot of the results. A lot of the teams that batted first seem like they won the games this weekend.
Yeah. Flax won the toss and went to bat.
Yeah.
Cleveland won the toss and went to bat. I mean, it was a low scoring game, but
They
still.
still won.
Yeah.
And Somerset Bridge, they beat the under 19s. I think they batted first too.
No, Somerset Bridge better second.
Bridge, no, second, right.
Yeah.
There was the early team on this weekend that batted last and won.
Last and won, yeah.
So I say it's
Actually,
interesting.
let's revert to that game because the under 19s are getting ready for international play as well as the senior men are getting ready for international play. And one of the things before we go to the first division game yesterday, you look at someone like Terrence Frey in the Bayless Bay team. Now, when he goes to represent Bermuda, that's another big void because they lost so much experience in the off season. You lose someone like Terrence for 2 weeks. That's a big hole. But Bayless Bay have somebody that they can actually not put in his place, but put in a role that could actually help the team, and that's Irvin Remain, because you can't never count Irvin out. So they have a backup plan.
I think it's not only Taryn. I think it's Taryn and from my gather, Kyle Lipin. Not Kyle. Kyle Hudson.
Right.
Was in the squad too. So
right.
I don't know if his going. And then if it's interesting because if you look at a lot of the teams, it's going to be missing players when these tournaments come up. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah. And leaders of teams will be missing. Yeah. Guys that fill big voids when they do play. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Let's take our second commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that under 19 game against Somerset Bridge yesterday. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Just putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Back in 1995, a pair of entrepreneurs working in their garage with essential oils began to realize the potential of organically produced body care products. Now, in a 56,000 square foot facility, EO products are shipping to millions worldwide, an inspiration to aspiring family businesses to be sure. EO products were the first in their field to follow the quality and safety guidelines established for organic foods in their production of high-end organic body care products. This month we're featuring EO Lemon Coconut Lotion. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, Doc, the under-19s went to bat first yesterday against Somerset Bridge. Slow start, lowest wickets on a regular basis, got to 130, was all out for 130. And at one point in time had Somerset Bridge in trouble as well. But senior players within the Somerset Bridge team were able to, overcome that. And I think the under-19s will have to go through this learning curve of learning how to complete a full game.
Yes. Yeah, I've been coaching. I've been helping off the under-19, well, not for the last couple of weeks, but early in the season, I was doing some work with them. And I know they have at least maybe 7 to 8 players overseas playing in the UK, and it's probably more. But they have some good youngsters here. Luke Fulton, I think he got wickets and made runs. He's another good player. Yeah, he's a good player. A good player. And they have a few more. So it's going to be a learning curve for them. And it's good that they're playing in the league. 2006 and 7, we had the under-19 team. That's what we done too. Had them in the league playing, and it worked out for us. But this team is a very young team.
Yeah.
Most of these guys could play not only this under-19 tournament, the next ones too. So it's a young team. So hopefully, these guys learn when they're playing against, better opposition, because, like I said, if you can only pick 15 players, and I think it's at least 7 or 8 that's in the UK.
Right.
That's
let's talk about that for a second, because what is the mindset of the players that are on island now? Are they playing for? Well, obviously everybody's playing for a spot, but trying to convince them to stay involved, knowing that if I bat number 3 right now, and I know the number 3 bat is in the UK making runs and so forth. How do I, what are the coaches saying to the players to keep them encouraged, to keep them involved in the program?
I know what I was telling them, you got to make sure that these players overseas earn the spot. Even though they're playing in the UK, that doesn't mean that when they come back, that they're going to automatically jump right in the team. But you got to remember that a lot of those guys that are in the UK are playing at a higher level and are playing much more games than the players here. It's down here they play once a week. In the UK, sometimes they're playing 2 or 3 games a week. Saturday, Sundays, and through the week, so they're playing a lot more games. So they're getting, they're getting more experience playing out there, But like I said, it's a lot of good youngsters that are here too. they're
Right.
vying for positions too. So it'd be interesting to see when the UK players come back, how they fit in with the team and how they gel with the team and how they make out playing in the division too. Um, it's a big squad. It's a squad
Right.
of like I think it's close to 25 to 30 players,
Right.
and pretty soon they'll probably have to cut it down. So they probably have interclub games,
Right.
interclub trials going on, and along with playing in the league, and
Right.
I guess playing some practice games against other opposition too.
But let me ask you, how much encouragement should the board, the coach, be having? How much encouragement should they be having with the clubs to ensure that, okay, so these guys are playing in the under 19 team on the Saturday, that they should be playing with their club team on the Sunday, because when you quickly take a good glance down, you don't see too many of the guys that played yesterday playing for the club team kind of today.
Yeah, that's interesting, Earl. I really don't know how many play for the club teams. I know a lot of them play for Workman. A lot of
Right.
the players in the under 19s play for Workman, and I know they play for Work. Then there's probably a few that are not attached to clubs, so that's the ones we need to get attached to clubs so they can start playing a little bit more too. But I would encourage the clubs to play some of the youngsters. Sometimes it's not always about winning. Winning games it's because eventually you're going to need these youngsters. When you get the senior players going away, and you need players. You're going to encourage these young guys to play. You don't want to just encourage them to play when these guys leave. You got to filter them in the team when they're here too, so they get the experience.
Right.
So it's not too hard when these players do leave when they fill in. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how they're going to work that out, because I think the seniors go away twice this year.
Yeah.
I think it's before
June.
cup match,
Yeah.
June, and I think
It's next month,
and
and then over cup match. Yeah.
right after cup match, something like that. They got 2 tournaments. So if I was coaching one of those teams and I had young players playing in the under 19s and the senior team, I would try to get at least 1 or 2 on me and playing a couple games, 50 over games too. Both be playing both week Saturday and Sunday.
Right. Right. Definitely.
But
Yeah, it's one of the things where you want them to be in action more frequent than less frequent. I know, what was it, a few years ago, the under 19s were playing in the evening league as well.
yeah,
In a build up towards the Americas tournament. But just giving them another opportunity to play, I think that's where even the senior team, the players need time in the middle. And whether you're a batsman or a builder, you need time in the middle. You need that extra, workout. You need that extra, time at the crease. You just need
Yeah.
more time in the game. We're training here and there, but training mentality and game mentality is 2 different things. And I think when we start looking at from the domestic to the international side, we need those high intense training sessions for the guys to kind of feel like, okay, I'm being challenged on a regular basis here.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that these guys played in the league, in the evening league, but I think we were trying to get away from that, because in the evening league was only like 16 overs. So if you think about it, a lot of players wasn't getting a bill.
Right.
A lot of them wasn't getting a bet. If they did, they had to go out there. So now it's good for them to play in the 50 overs, where everybody gets a chance to bet bill. Sometimes you could use other players. I think, when years ago when I was coaching on the 19s, we always had like 15 players coming. We had 11 of the batsmen were bet, and then we had the other players coming. They could bowl, so we had the whole 15 involved in the game. Because you can remember, all of them need everybody that's in the under 19 team needs a fair chance in playing every weekend. You know, it doesn't make sense. You bring in 11. You got only 11 could play, but then you got 15, 20 boys.
Right.
So I think what the coaches want to do is each week try to play different players and mix it up a bit. But you want everybody to get a fair chance in Berlin and Benton. That was the only problem we had playing in the evening league. They
Right.
they didn't get enough chances to play.
Right. Right. Yeah. I agree with that. The other first division game today, Cleveland County won by 40 runs over Warwick Workman. Cleveland batted first, scored 131, and then Warwick Workman out for 91. Malachi, 4 wickets for 11 runs over 6.3 overs with 1 maiden. We know that he's going to have to, get some assistance from somebody in the building department. I mean, they were able to blow Cleveland out for 131, but they just did not show up with the bat. You had Tybray Robinson get 4 wickets for 35 over 8 with 2 maidens for Cleveland County. Worked for 91. Malachi top score on 29. Opened the inning. I don't know. I mean, you want someone like Malachi to lead you, but he's a different caliber of fish in that Warwick team, and I don't know if opening him is probably the right way to go, because he's got enough experience that if the team's in trouble, he can change momentum a little bit. I think he's got enough in the toolbox to change it around. But if he's up front and he's into his normal firing, mentality, once he goes, what do you have left? I mean, if he gets going, that's one thing. But if he goes early, you're in trouble.
It's interesting because it's gonna have to, like you said, it's gonna have to bet where it's needed and bull. Like he got 4 wickets today, and it was the highest score, right? You say he got 29.
29. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how the wicket. That game was up Southampton Rangers too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was a low total on a kind of smaller ground. It's interesting to either it was bad batting or good bowling, because normally Rangers has a pretty decent wickets up there. So that was an interesting result. Unless Warwick got overconfident chasing that low total, because sometimes
I mean, a lot of young players, it's hard to keep them focused when it's a low total. They'll probably
low total.
We can get this easy.
Yep, and I agree. Those are the hardest totals to chase. So maybe they got overconfident. I don't know, but Cleveland, you can't count Cleveland out. They got a lot of experienced players in Cleveland's lying up too.
Curtis
they've
Jackson
been there before.
runs for him.
Who's that?
Curtis Jackson.
Curtis. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's that's interesting. But like I said, it's still early in the season. I know Warwick's got a lot of good young players up there. So with Malachi there, assisting them, I mean, they could only go from strength to strength. Like I said, it's like I said, it could be a game where they was. I think they probably underestimated Cleveland, and being that total was small, and
we'll get that. Yeah.
But you've got to remember, in those small totals, it's still important for the batsman that's set to bat through the innings too.
Right.
Because once he gets out, the new batsman coming in, there's more pressure on him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to take one more commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the player of the week by the performances. We'll be right back.
Every month is snack month for us, it would seem, as long as they're the helpful, guilt-free, delectable snacks we crave. Enter the Daily Crave, a company whose first product was churros, the well-loved Spanish treat, followed by diversification in the form of classic puff snacks and chips. They ventured beyond the traditional list of ingredients. The grains are gone, replaced by lentils, pulses, and cassava, slaking our craving with a vegan-friendly, gluten-free snack that satisfies. This month, we're featuring the Daily Crave Quinoa Bourbon Barbecue Chips. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Well, Doc, we have a sponsor who will be giving an award to the Player of the Week chosen on this show on a weekly basis. So let's take a look at some of the top performers, and then we figure out, which one was most valuable to their team. We will start with yesterday's game, where you had Luke Fulton, like you said, he scored 41 for the under-19s, and then he had 3 for 17, although they lost. Donnie Charles scored 55 for Somerset Bridge. He also took 3 wickets in the game. And then today, up at Southampton Noble, Malachi Jones took 4 for 11 over 6.3, and he scored 29. Curtis Jackson scores the top scorer for Cleveland with 30. You had Tybray Robinson taking 4 for 35 for Cleveland County to help them, pull off that victory. At Lords and St. David's, you had the John Now and Taiwan Franks put on a 161-run 5th wicket partnership to pull them out of trouble. Now scored 108 off of 80 balls, hitting 6 fours and 7 sixes. Franks was 75, not out. Swain Campbell took 3 for 52. Dante Wellman took 3 for 61 for Western Stars. In reply, Brian Hall scored 34. Paul Carr was the pick of the Flax Victoria Builders, taking 3 for 45. And then in the Premier Division, we had performances of 126 off of 108 balls for Ajon Lamb, helping St. David score 311 for 7. He hit 14 fours and 6 sixes. Derek Brinkman added 56, and Justin Pitcher was 53, not out. Kamal Bashir took 3 for 54. For Willicotts, in reply, Willicotts were out for 208. Sergio Reyna was their top scorer with 55. George O'Brien had figures of 10 overs, no maidens, 4 for 27. Derek Brinkman blew 10 overs, he took 3 for 35. So to go along with his knock of 56. And then down at Seabreeze Oval, you had Bayless Bay had a 147-run 3rd wicket partnership between Brandon Trott and Taryn Frey to help Bayless Bay on to 245 for 5. Taryn scored 101. Trot scored 61. Janara Tucker took 2 for 50. And then in reply, it was down to Jordan Burgess, the pick of the Davis Bay Bowlers. He bowled 7 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 24. Just listening to those numbers and who would you say stands out and give me a reason why that has led to their team either winning or losing, because sometimes not always the only team that wins.
Well, for the Premier, our standout players for me would be AJ Lamb and Darren Frey. Now, to pick most valuable, both scored a century, and both farms team won. So I'll go for it. It was interesting which one to go for. Those two, and then in the first division, you got the John Now from Flats scored 100, and you look at his total. I think with 7 sixes, 7 sixes, something like that. And also
Steve Reeves. I'm sorry, I said Lords and St. David's.
Right, and then it was all for 80 something balls, so that's interesting. And then you had also in the first division, Donnie Charles scored 50, and then getting four wickets. And then of course Luke Fulton 40 with 3 wickets too. So it's a toss up out of those ones. It'll be interesting to see. Well, at what stage they came in. I know Taryn and Brandon said they was in little trouble and they was betting, right?
Yes.
So you could take that into effect. I don't know about AJ.
You mentioned Ajon Lamb, so he batted. He opened the inning, and he was the 5th wicket to fall on 238, and they were 238 after 38.3 overs. Leading from the front, setting the tone. I think that kind of stands you out. But if you look at the other thing that Derek Brakeman's 56 and then came in 3 wickets. An all-round performance. Now the thing is, Ajon's the wicket keeper, so he doesn't have a chance to claim any wicket. But leading from the front,
he could have got some. He could have got some good stompings or great catches too behind.
Looking at that. But actually, Ajon wasn't. Actually, Ricardo was the wicket keeper.
Okay.
For St. David, so Ajon did not bowl.
But he was the highest score this weekend too, right? 126.
Highest score this weekend. 126.
So you possibly look at him scoring a century being the highest score.
Right. I was leading down that way because of the fact that he led from start, not to finish, but start and later a good foundation. Now, of course, the wickets were falling all around him, but he ended up, really staying in there. The other thing with Taryn and Brandon, that they are out of trouble. But collectively they did it just like Now and Franks did for Flats. Right.
Exactly. And they was in trouble too.
Yes. So. At one point, St. David's where let's see, because they started losing wickets early. 1 for 18, 2 for 63, 3 for 88, and then 4 for 109, and then there was a 19 run 4th wicket partnership between Ajon and
Derek
Raymond.
Maybe we could give AJ Lamb for the Premier Player of the Week.
We only have one, so it's combined. So it's only one.
Oh, okay. Is there only one? So I guess you could,
So we'll congratulate Ajon Lamb being named the Player of the Week the Gosling's Player of the Week, and we'll have a presentation with him in next week's show. But I do, before we want to go, it is still your birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes. Thank you.
Doc, I do want to thank you very much for joining me this evening. I know it's difficult sometimes with the lateness and so forth, but we look forward to more cricket and bringing people more of these results and updating them on a weekly basis of what goes on. Okay?
All right, Daryl. And
All right.
thanks for the birthday wishes. And
Yes, sir.
hopefully to see you next week Sunday.
Okay. Folks, enjoy your evening.